Hey everybody, hopefully this is working all right. Cool, yeah, looks good. Great. So how's it going? So as far as what we're doing down here today, we're gonna keep going with the breacher project. Right, like I've gotten I can't even remember where we were last time because I ended up having to cancel last week's stream for work reasons, um, and yeah, so I've done a little bit of work since then, right? Like everything has all blocked out. I have all the red, all the gray, all the black, all the brown. Everything's set there. I got the null oil on the black to make it look more black, and now I'm at the point where so like with this guy with this Shazwi, I went and did the crimson wash on him. I also did a flesh shade on his fatigues. And I, looking at it here, actually, I don't think that looks like that was not mixed up right, because I see a little bit of that white mustiness showing in a few places. So that probably wasn't mixed up right. But nonetheless, I'm at the point where I think I want to maybe highlight this guy up to see how it all comes together before I put the wash on all the other dudes. But I mean, honestly, I don't think it's not like I'm not going to wash the other dudes. So maybe I should just go ahead and do that. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing as far as on the workbench here, which, by the way, new camera, I think, since last time. So hopefully the picture's a little clearer. We also have so I have my next video rendering right now. I was hoping to have that up this morning, and it didn't happen. So that will go live probably as soon as we're done here. I'll upload that. So yeah. Yeah, I wanted to talk about today. Today I wanted to talk about no one knows how to play Tau. Right? No one knows. And there's a bunch of reasons for that, right? Like one of them, here, I should actually start painting, otherwise I'm never actually going to. Right? There's a bunch of reasons for that. One of them is that, of course, there's no one right way, right? So there's no definitive way to play. And so, of course, no one has the answer. So it's kind of a straw man argument in that way. But still, what I think is a much more interesting way to think about it, though, is that there are, I think, a couple weeks ago, I put up a video about like competitive Tau army lists, right? And we went through and looked at what all the different list kind of choices are that we see commonly show up in tournaments. And I got some pushback on that video saying, saying that it was oversimplified or anything like that. And I largely agreed with those comments. And the point of that video was more so like, this is what people are using. And this is, if you want to emulate what common tournament lists look like, this is what you should do. So that was more of the point of that video. And I'm going to try to move this mic here a little bit. Yeah, that's better. So that video is more about what people are doing. And if you want to go with the crowd, like what you could do. So, and it wasn't really so much about what I thought was the ideal list. And more recently, I've seen a few lists that have performed very well that are doing more things like, going board concept or bringing even ghost keels or all sorts of different units. And I think that's really indicative of kind of like this, the way that we process or the way that we utilize our online communities to form opinions about what should or could be done with the codex, right? Like, there are a lot of potential combinations that you could come up with using a codex, right? But many of them are not explored, and often what we end up doing in cases of change is trying to revert back to what's familiar. And so that's the place that we're at right now, right? Is that we had a really strong codex when it came out, and it's been kind of, sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly degraded over time. And so people have been in a state of trying to figure it out, what to bring. And in particular, the issue has been around crisis suits, right? Crisis suits, clearly a strong pick early on, still a very strong pick, but not as strong as they were before. So the question becomes, what do you do if you're not investing heavily in crisis suits? And the predominant answer has been riptides, right? Like that's the thing. But that's nothing new, right? Like that has, since the introduction of the riptide, that has been the answer, right? Is if crisis suits are not good, then riptide or broadside. Like that's basically it. And so I wonder how much of the current mindset of what is being played in tournaments, and therefore what the focus of that previous video was on, is because those are actually the best option for most people's play styles, or is it just a product of familiarity, right? Like, is it just that people are used to riptides, and riptides have a lot of appealing traits. Primarily, they're pretty conservative in nature, right? They stay on the tabletop, and if your concern is things getting shot off the board, riptides are extremely appealing for that reason. Right? So they're a little bit of a safer play in a lot of regards. That's something that we saw in 8th edition, right? Too. That riptides are a safer option, so people kind of default to that. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily the way to go, right? And so I'm curious about. I'm increasingly curious about non-riptide base lists that are performing at tournaments, and what those people are doing, and what they're kind of innovating, as much as that word applies. Yeah. So, right, like how much of, and in particular, right, like something I've wondered a long time is how much does what I say actually matter? Like obviously, not everybody watches my videos, not everyone agrees with me who does watch my videos, and not everyone who watches my videos does, even if they agree with me, it doesn't mean that they do what I suggest. But do people like me or other online people, other content creators, how much do they influence what actually happens in tournaments, right? And how much of that is cyclical, or like kind of a feedback effect, where like if I come up here and say if I say Pathfinders are the best thing in the world, and then people, somebody watches this video and then they go and make a army list that's all Pathfinders all the time, how much does that cycle out into the world and actually create kind of this echo chamber effect of Pathfinders being the best thing in the world? I don't have a good idea of that. Hopefully not very much, right? Right. I don't I don't think yeah. Oh, hey, Michael. Minnesota is awesome. You betcha. Yeah. People need to drop crisis suits so overcosted as you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're way more expensive than they were, but I mean they still have a lot going for them. They have a lot of synergy, a lot of tactical play, I think. Yeah. So I don't know if people, I don't think the answer is dropping crisis suits for most people, right? And again, that's always the big asterisk, right? Is it's not one size fits all. Or if it is, that's probably not good. Right? If it's one size fits all, that means that there's inherent structural features to the codex that mean that it's not really a function of you playing as much as it is you conforming, right? Or just doing it's less about you, it's more about the book at that point, I think. So yeah, so it should be that there are multiple viable play styles, multiple viable builds, that sort of thing. And if that's the case, then that's always a kind of a caveat to our discussions about what's a strong pick and what's a weak pick. Is that your mileage will vary. So with that aside, though, I think most people still get value out of crisis suits as kind of a precision tool, as like a scalpel. That's the way I've described them. And I don't think your whole army is crisis suits. I think you have one unit of crisis suits and a commander or two that are doing some heavy lifting for you. Yeah. Broadsides, right? The thing about broadsides is they're just inert, and they're inert with the codex, more or less. In an earlier time, there was a huge drawback because you had some things that were super reactive, right? Super synergistic, like crisis suits, right? And crisis suits were costed in a way that you couldn't walk away from them. Now I think broadsides become more viable as the opportunity cost kind of decreases. And that's a function of that's largely a function of point increases for things like crisis suits. It's unfortunate. Broadsides did have a bit of a thing going for them with Armor of Contempt being present that they've lost as it goes away. But I think the army as a whole benefits from that change. I'm definitely realizing how much coffee I had today. Like, it's not good for painting hands. But yeah, so I mean, I think, and people are still trying to figure it out, right? Like figure out how to. We're still reacting to everything, and by the time we get figured out, probably will be the end of the edition, and it won't matter anymore. But yeah. So I'm just painting. What is it again? It's Carolberg Crimson. And all my worries here. I'm not precise enough with washes to really make this look good. Like it's gonna look a little splotchy, I think. But the highlighting should take care of that, right? I've cleaned up with highlighting, and that that contrast should make the splotchiness less noticeable. At least on the scale of looking at it at the table on the tabletop. Yeah, I'm happy with how that one went. Being a little bit more selective with each of these. Yeah, live streams. I've done live streams before in the past. Often they are not particularly what's the word I want to use? Popular. Usually they're not very popular. But I'm trying, this latest iteration, I'm trying to be a little more consistent with it, kind of make it more of a regular thing, and I think that's a big help. So I've liked how these past few have gone, so we'll keep doing it. I like hanging out, chatting, and it gives me a little bit of hobby progress, which is good. I think every time I've done one of these the past few weeks, I end up talking about how I find the process of painting and hobbying to be very therapeutic. So I'll spare you again that soapbox, but yeah, but it's true. And so I think I do this. I do not do this altruistically. Evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, have a good one. My biggest use is issues. I've been yeah, the chonky boys, for sure. Yeah, and that is where broadsides or riptides are really useful, right? Because they have the range, they have the firepower. That's certainly a place where you want those. I really wish I had I need to get like a little wine cork or something for painting these guys. That'd be nice. I'd need to start drinking wine. But I mean, you can just buy corks too. You can buy, like a home brewing supply. You can buy corks. Or I think even like sometimes Hobby Lobby has them and stuff like that for people that want to, like, I don't know, look like they drink a bunch of wine but don't. I'm not exactly sure who that's for if it's not in a homebrew supply company, but whatever. But I need to get those for all this. All right, like I have a painting handle, but my Celestine's on it because I'm working on that for sure. Yeah, the Tau boarding patrol box. I contacted my FLGS like, hey, when this comes out, I need one. It's not that I need more crisis suits or fire warriors, although I'm on the fence about whether those are going to hit eBay or not, because it's one of those things where, like, every so often I'm like, I wish I just had a couple more, just to do this one list. And I really don't like proxying. Not that there's anything wrong with proxying. I just don't like doing it for me because the thing that I find fun about the hobby is seeing all the little guys on the table move around, and if they're proxies, then that robs me of the thing that I find principally enjoyable about playing the game. So it's inefficient, but I definitely don't don't enjoy proxying. It's just not for me. What's going on? What, LARPing? Oh, okay, wait. Oh yeah. What are ways to join the scene and start playing that make it enjoyable and not discouraging? Like what okay, yeah. So this is something that I've thought about making a video on multiple times, is like the whole like people being down on Tau. And the whole thing is obviously dumb. You can not like how Army plays, or think Army is overpowered or something like that, and not be a jerk about it. And I think that's really fundamental sportsmanship, community, like being an adult type stuff. And I guess I'm assuming you're not a kid, like not like a middle schooler kid or something, because middle school kids, that's a totally different story. But if we're assuming we're talking about adults that are at least college age, right? Like the people that come, like I've been to places too, right? Like I think every Tau player has that participates in open events, right? Is you go somewhere and there's some guy walks up to you and it's like, oh, you're playing Tau, or something, and just like totally, we all play against matchups we don't like. We all play against armies we don't like. We don't have to be a jerk about it, Stop harshing my vibe, man. Yeah, so the whole thing is dumb, is my point. That most critically, the whole way people react to Tau and feel like there's that they're entitled to have some sort of disrespectful response to it. Yeah, entitled really is the word, right? They feel like that's okay to act like that, and it's not. All that I think largely stems back from when they were first introduced, and they had this mechanic called jump, shoot, jump, as well as a few other things that kind of made Tau play uniquely and distinctly from any other army. And you really want that, right? You want armies to be distinct, but the magnitude of the shift made it feel like perhaps Tau were not an army you really played against, that Tau just played at you and you had to kind of just sit there. And that's where a lot of that initial resentment came from, and then just kind of stayed around, partially because of people thinking it was okay to treat opponents badly for playing that game or playing that army. So yeah, so I haven't made a video about that just because, like, I don't want to give those people more attention, really. Because most players aren't like that, right? If most players were like that, people wouldn't stick in the hobby. Yeah. The new Farsight is so good. Yeah. So anyway, I told the I told the the local store, which I'm shifting to a new store here, because yeah, I haven't quite found. I haven't quite found a new home post pandemic, and the place I used to go to shut down, and then the other place I was going to now is changing their business model, and it's all all sorts of wonky. But there's this other place that I've been purchasing stuff at that I'm eager to start playing at. As kind of my go-to spot. And yeah, and just gotta say, I really appreciate when FLGS is responsive to online inquiries. Because like I just I don't have a lot of time to go and like hang out at a store and stuff like that. It's just a lot easier for me just to like send them an email or send them a Facebook message or something like that, and they can get to it when they get to it. They don't have to respond right away, but I just appreciate being able to interact with them that way, because it fits into my schedule much more easily. Do I think Votan being similar to Tau will spread some of the hate around? No, no, I don't. And I mean, part of that is because there hasn't been this culture of permission around being angry at Votan, especially because Votan got the Nerf bat right away. So no, I don't. I think the negative attitude that some Tau players receive, and I'm not talking about Tau players that are themselves poor sportsmen, right? That's a different issue. But if talking about the general reaction some people have to any Tau player. Yeah. Nope. And I just like being more positive, right? Like I don't like I'm not in this hobby to talk negatively about people or complain about things, or I'm here to have a good time. I think most people are, right? So that's it. Some people have a good time by not having a good time. Like some people are only some people and I mean I think this is true, right? Like generally there are sometimes people build community not around the things that they like, but the things that they don't like. Right? And so but generally I think the 40K community is one that is built around positivity. Hopefully, right? All right. Yeah, no, there are definitely folks that have the anti-Tau thing, and it's just kind of a joke, right? But there are other people that don't realize it's a joke and just are unkind for no reason, right? Like Mini Wargaming Dave, right? Like he part of the bit is that he doesn't like Tau, and he may not he may genuinely have grievances with how the army is designed, but I never once think that when Mini Wargamer Dave says something about Tau that he has this visceral dislike of anyone who plays Tau, right? Like it's very clearly an amicable thing, right? I'm not talking about those folks. Those people are people that are just joshing, right? Ooh, a Land Raider, cool. I think Land Raiders are out of stock, right? Are Land Raiders and Predators out of stock? I was told that they were on the online store. By the way, new Dante model. I think, do the kids say things are fire? Is that still something? No, they say lit, right? Or what? Whatever they say, that new Dante model is awesome. And I wonder, like, I was talking about this the other day. It seems like there's some folks that might not understand exactly why his helmet is all weird. Like it, and or maybe I don't understand. I don't know. But like when I look at it, it looks very much to me like it's the death mask that is, sculpted after Sanguinius, after his death, that Dante had in his old, firstborn armor. I don't know what mark that was or whatever. Basically ripped off that armor and slapped on a Mark 10 helmet, right? Like they're like, hey, we're not gonna make a new one. We're just putting this on the existing one. That's why the head looks a little different. But I think it looks awesome, and the jump pack looks great. I'm glad that they included that and didn't do something like super ornate, like Corvus or whatever. Like I'm glad that it's a simple design with ornamental enhancements on it, right? That it's not like that. It looks appropriate, I think, for the Blood Angels. I would really hope. I think Valrex said that there's supposed to be some Primaris Sanguinary Guard coming. Is what he heard from his sources. And I hope that's true. Sanguinary Guard are just awesome. Although they're kind of like crisis suits in the way that everyone, not everyone, but many Blood Angels players, just like many Blood Angels players probably have a ton of Sanguinary Guard, just like many Tau players had a ton of crisis suits. And when the new kit came out, they're like, oh, well, I guess I need more now. That's how it goes, right? Like that's the name of the game. And literally, that's the name. I need more now is the name of the game. We should just call it that. It's not Warhammer. It's I need more now. Yeah, well, that you were correct. How many different brushes do I use when painting? Well, right now I'm just using this little like garbage throwaway brush that I probably got from Hobby Lobby in a pack of like 10, just because I'm not doing anything particular. But then I have a few of these. I don't know. I got these off Amazon. They're like a little bit finer detail, nicer brushes. But let's be clear here. I am hot garbage when it comes to brush care. Like I can't do it. I can't figure it out. That's not something that I've developed as a skill at all in the past 20 years. So I don't invest a lot in brushes because I just don't take care of them. So I use what I have available and what I can get with relatively minor investment. And I picked up, I have a pile of brushes, and like most of them are just like not actually usable. So I really should just be throwing away or using them to like load paint into the airbrush or something like that. I got this thing right for like I got a few of these, like different sizes. I have a whole pack of them that are different sizes that I'm going to try using as dry brushes the next time I dry brush something, which probably will be on these guys. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll experiment a little bit. I was planning on just doing kind of like some wet blending and some edge highlights and stuff, and maybe dry brushing would be good for the guns in particular. But the bristles are really stiff, and that has me a little nervous. I feel like it's almost too hard of a brush. Like I'm worried that I'm gonna like scrape something or like it's gonna leave streaks or whatever. So I don't know. I'll try it. We'll see how it goes. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. You'll probably be here whenever I try it, and we can celebrate the victory or the defeat together. Yeah. Right. But yeah, like, see, I'm awful at brush care. I don't know. If you ever watch Casey Neistat, how he treats his stuff, that's how I treat my brushes. That dude. Yeah. Okay. Tau Forge will good again. Make Tau. Is there any Forge World Tau that I just saw? Was that on Tabletop Tactics? They just had a Yvara in a battle report. Just awful. I love Yvaras, and I love Arvanas too. I don't have as many fond memories. I have one Arvana and two Yvaras, and the Yvaras I just love. And it is sad that they are not very useful right now. They just pale in comparison to Riptide, right? The mainline Riptide. And same with hazard suits. I love my hazard suits, but it's just not there, right? And so no, and my Tetris. I love my Tetris too. And my Remoras. Hey, guess what? I just love all the Forge World stuff. Well, hot take there. But no, all of it's bad. And I mean, I think Tetras are the one thing that maybe you could make a case for, but yeah, no, I don't think that they will. I think they're to a point with Forge World that brand is not going to stick around very long. I don't know, and people have been saying that for a long time, or at least a while. But it's hard to see Forge World really being revitalized at any point, given that it's gotten zero attention since 8th edition. Right? Like it's just clearly not a priority, and I don't see that changing. I think things like the Old World are where Forge World comes in. I don't think they're going to be updating rules or anything like that. Or if they do, they're going to be mainline 40K stuff. Right? Like the only way that we really see that happening is if things like the Yvara end up in the Codex, which I think is a long shot still. One thing that does give me hope is the conversion of the Contemptor Dreadnought bits for Horus Heresy. Like those were resin kits, right? But now they're being converted to plastic, produced by Games Workshop or Citadel instead of Forge World. So I think that demonstrates that they're willing to do that at least. So that could be it could be a preview of things to come. But I'm not holding my breath. Which I think is just so bizarre, right? That we go from a time when Forge World is overpowered, super powerful, to a time when people are like, why would you ever just that transition is kind of remarkable, I think. A 1,000-point arc list based on crisis suits. 1 unit of 3, 1 big unit. Expensive. Right, yeah. Maxwell. So 1,000-point list. A 1,000-point list with crisis suits. Yeah, I mean, let me think about it. I think I probably still would just do. I probably would do a unit of 3, and yeah. Well, right, like you could do a unit of 3, and then, kind of look more at I think Fish of Fury is a pretty fun way to play, and especially in a smaller point game. But crisis suits really do shine. The smaller the game is, the more powerful crisis suits are, right? And so, yeah, I guess actually with that, thinking about that, maybe a big blob of crisis suits for a 1,000-point game would be the way to go, and then have like a Pathfinder unit in your recruit to do your compulsory, and then commander, and then take some strike teams or something, and maybe a broadside, something like that. Probably is around 1,000 points. I barely wanted to do an oops all suits tell but yeah. Well, yes, yeah. If you're going to be bringing in Forge World, that's going to be really hard to do. I mean, an oops all suit list, using just the codex is hard to pull off. I had a dream the other night that like ghost kills were the thing. And it was just, yeah, it was a dream. Like ghost kills were the thing. Everybody needed to have ghost kills. They sold out a ghost kill. It was like Sun Sharks, basically. Yeah. Right. I think Sun Sharks are a really interesting example too, right? Like Sun Sharks had Razor Sharks really had a bad rap, but Sun Sharks didn't, were not particularly appreciated until all of a sudden everyone decided that those were the best thing in the world. And I think that kind of illustrates how self-reinforcing ideas of army composition can be, especially for Tau. So who knows? Maybe ghost kills are the best thing. I just need to make a video saying ghost kills are the best thing, and we'll see. We'll test. We'll see what that does. Probably nothing, right? But carnivores for Kroot. The Firestalkers are really cool, and if you were bringing like a Dalith Sept detachment, I would bring Firestalkers too. But I wouldn't go out of my way for them in like a Tau Sept list or something. Ghost kills are their best thing. Yep. You heard it here first, right? I had a premonition. I cast Prescience, and it imperils. I'll tell you what I don't miss though is like in 6th, 7th edition, the ally matrix and oh, thanks for reminding me myself. We are next week. It's next week. Next week is the 10-year anniversary of the channel. I gotta make a video about that. My first ever video, which is now taken down because I can't stand it. My first video was sharing the army list I was using at the time, and it included the the classic Taudar with Farseer, and did have a unit of Alloy-Tech Pathfinders, I think, or jet bikes were added later. But yeah, eventually I ended up doing jet bikes to run around with my Riptide. I'd have like a jet bike Farseer. Yeah, I don't miss blending codices like that. Like, it was fun at the time, but I much prefer the elegance of single codex armies. It looks better, it feels better. I remember I'd go to tournaments with my Taudar, and then I would like lose points on painting because my Eldar were a different color scheme than my Tau, and they're like, it's not a unified color scheme. It's like yeah, but that's kind of the point. I kind of have that problem with my crew. My crew are blue, and that's on purpose, right, to contrast them with the Tau. And so I think if I were to repaint all my crew, I probably would pick a different, probably like a brown color scheme to have it mesh a little bit better, or like a warmer color scheme at least. Maybe not brown. Orange would be cool, or yellow. Yellow crew would be sweet. I'm doing my new Vespid in yellow. I'm going for like a yellow jacket theme. Yeah, yellow. Yep. They are really great. I love the Farstalker models. Yep. Yep. So, good. The video's done rendering. So when we're done here, I'll upload the next video. It's about secondary objectives. I have no idea if it's going to go over well or not. Just some ideas. How long is it? It's 32 minutes long. Maybe that's too long, but oh, you're playing Cold Star right now? Sweet. Yeah, Cold Star. Yeah, that's the thing about my Farsight that, well, I'm assuming I'm going to get a Farsight, right? Like, I'm going to be so excited to get it, and then it's not going to get painted right away. Maybe as soon as I get it, I'll start painting that on stream instead. But yeah, for some reason, people don't like it when I paint sisters on stream. So if I just stick with Tau, I have some Pathfinders I have to paint too. So, but I'll prioritize Farsight over the Pathfinders. But yeah, so yeah, I also have the Joy Toy Crisis suit coming eventually. I don't know. My wife pre-ordered it for me for Christmas. It was supposed to release in January. Did not. Supposed to release in February. Did not. March is pretty much done. So when is it going to show up? I have no idea. But when it does, I don't know. I'll do something crazy, like do an unboxing video or something, I guess. See how it goes. But I'm excited. I feel like it's supposed to be like pretty big, right? Like, I don't know, like at least the size of this solo cup, right? Like I think because I think it's supposed to be at scale with like the action figures. So wouldn't that make it? That'd make it, I don't know, like a foot tall or something. I don't know. I don't know. But and the website I looked at, I was like, it's not 13 centimeters tall. I know that's true. I know it's not 13 centimeters tall. I think that's what they said for the size or something. Can you ever see stealth heavy towel being viable? Maybe something focused on maneuverability and yeah, I mean, well, okay. So the problem that you would have with the stealth list, right? You got the low, you got volume of fire down pretty good, pretty well, and durability. But like further points, stealth suits don't put out a lot of shots really, and ghost kills. I guess you would maybe count Remora in there too, but yeah, I think it just the thing I think would be a problem with that more than anything is just firepower, because the utility of those units, they're not designed to be your heavy hitters, right? They're designed to be tactical, be durable in some ways. They're not meant to be the things that do a lot of real heavy lifting, and so I think that would be the hardest thing. So in order to make it viable, like in a competitive, like I think stealth and ghost skills can be, could be a viable part of some meta list, but they would need support from other heavy hitters, whether those are riptides or crisis suits or hammerheads or broadsides or breacher teams or Vespid or, Pathfinders, whatever it is. I think you're going to need something to do some more work. Yeah. I think maybe I know there was a list that I saw recently that had a ghost kill in it that performed very well, which it was kind of part of the inspiration for the thumbnail for this video, right? Or whatever, is that like there's potentially a much broader range, or at least an untapped selection of army compositions that are very strong, that aren't really getting talked about, because of some of these positive feedback loops that we have built into the way that we discuss things. Yeah, if you could put all fusion on stealth suits, that'd be cool. Also, I yearn for a day that there's a flamer version of a stealth suit. All right, well, folks, I gotta head out. Thank you for sitting with me while I apply Carolberg Crimson to my breachers. And yeah, I'm going to upload a video right now, and check it out. So as always, thanks for watching, and happy wargaming. I'll see you next week.